Let's get into this one then. We've got Ancient versus Future, the two big decks or most hyped decks coming out of Temporal Forces. As you can see on screen, we've got the Ancient deck list here. It's a hybrid of the single prize. We have got a couple of two prizes in here. Roaring Moon EX just to finish off games. It can get set up very quickly via Dark Patch, Sada, attachments. So it's very easy to get set up late on. I do try and save the Dark Patches if possible, as that is the easiest way to set it up. Other than that, it's a fairly standard list. We've got a few goodies in here, as you'll see as we play. If you want to see the deck list in more detail, click over here somewhere. We'll have a video on that. Over on the side of Future then, and this is a deck list very similar to what we saw in the Champions League in Japan. There's a few changes I would make to this. I've sort of just taken the list and made one or two. After playing a bit, I would like to see like a Mew EX or a Greninja maybe. I think Mew EX makes more sense. You want to save your energy. Just to draw cards towards the end, because getting Iono'd can shut you out of the game, honestly. So there's a few things I would change after this match, but let's face them off against each other. Ancient versus Future. So ideally for the Future player, they need to go second. Miraidon attacking so early is very important. I think they did lose the toss here and are going to go first though, which is not good. Oh no, so they are second, although Iron Hands as an active is awful. It does mean you're going to have to use a Future booster on it, which you don't want to do. You need the heavy batons on them, else you can't save your energy. There's no switch cards in this deck. There's no switches, so you are going to struggle here. You have to attach the tool, which doesn't feel good. There is a Lost Vacuum in this list, so you could remove it yourself and put the heavy baton on. Or you just forget this Iron Hands. It becomes a dead Pokemon, a dead space on your board. And you just leave it there. Leave it with a tool. It can't be bossed up because you can just retreat it for free. But you don't attach energy to it. You need more Iron Hands in play. Either way, it's not a good start. We do want to see a Miraidon, and I don't see any in hand. There's definitely a way to draw cards. We see Iono there. And the top deck is going to be another tool. What's that, like 4 tools in hand? That is looking pretty rough. You don't really want an Iono either, because you do want those heavy batons in hand. You do want the, but I think that's the only thing in hand that's playable. Just showing the hand to the opponent there and how rough it is. And it is going to be Iono down to 6 or up to 6. Not sure how many cards we've got in hand, but we are going to see a new hand most importantly. And 6 new cards going to Future and Ancient here. I will say the Ancient hand looks awful now. That's a EX, a ton of energy. And it is attach and pass. That is, what is this game? The EX is going to come down, not really much else going on. We did see a supporter off the top there. So we are going to see some more cards put into the hand of Ancient. Probably need to see the Ultra Ball go in here just so we can see Greninja in play. Throw away some of those energies and draw. It's in deck anyway. Obviously a little more information on the side of the Ancient player than we have here. Oh, there's 2 Sada in there as well though. And a Dark Patch. I honestly don't know what you keep here. I think you need Greninja. You need to see more cards this turn. There's not really much else going on. And I don't mind the Sada going into the discard. Or at least one of them anyway. Dark Patch going is, yeah, that's rough. Like I said, I do like the Dark Patch later on. Able to set up the Roaring Moon EX. And it was the Artisan prioritized over the Ultra Ball, which makes some sense. Obviously not able to throw away a ton of cards, as you've only got Dark Patches, Energy, and Sadas in hand. So you don't really want to throw any of those away. So I like this play as well. It does mean you've got the backup Roaring Moon ready to attack. And we could potentially see, we will double check. I think we've seen 3 maybe, so maybe 100, 110, around that sort of ballpark. And that is a 200 HP single prize Roaring Moon. There is just 4 in there at the moment. So it's going to be 110 damage onto the Roaring Moon. And what are we going to see here? Onto the Iron Hand, sorry, from the Roaring Moon. We are going to see a Nest Ball come down. And this is where I'd like something like a Mew EX or a Greninja, just to be able to draw cards here. Otherwise, we're probably just going to see a Miraidon retreat. Okay, Iron Crown makes a lot more sense. And then we see the Artisan bring out the Miraidon. It does mean we see a bit more here. Arven able to go find our Techno Radar, as well as potentially a Heavy Baton for a second Iron Hands. And it is going to be that play here. Just eyeing up the hand here. We probably want to see 2 Iron Hands ideally. I think either way, an Iron Crown would be fine. It's awkward. Like I said, we don't really want Iron Hands with that tool on them. It is going to be those two. The damage is stacking up with the Iron Crowns at least. Miraidon able to do slightly more damage here. Nowhere near enough for knockout, but at least we're going to see some damage. Iron Hands retreating to the bench, and we're going to see Accelerating Peak here for 80 damage. Weakening the Roaring Moon, which it doesn't feel great. Even if you attacked again with Miraidon, you wouldn't be taking a knockout. I would like to see another Iron Crown go down just so you could take the knockout. Would that be enough? 100, 180. So it would still slightly be off. We would need to see a Lost Vacuum here to get rid of the tool to make it a knockout. With a single prize, I like a bit better, but I don't see... I mean, the Roaring Moon is already knocking out the Miraidon, so it's going to be a tough one for future here. 200 HP is a lot to hit. Like, you would need a tool and 3 Iron Crowns or 4 Iron Crowns, which you don't normally have in play. Meaning Iron Hands is going to struggle for a knockout here. But we will see. It's yeah, not been the best of setups for the side of future. Again, Ancient hasn't had like a crazy start. It's not like off to a flyer, but it is definitely more set up and more things going for it here. Obviously, being a single prizer that isn't knocked out by Iron Hands is massive. Does mean it can trade quite favorably, and we do see the Greninja come down here. Potentially could see some energy thrown away. Sada in hand, so we are going to see the bench Pokemon set up. The fact that the EX is sat on bench does mean it could potentially be brought up and stalled. Maybe 3 prizes taken with an Iron Hands. And it is the Sada, so it's going to be an energy to each Roaring Moon. Single prizes first, and then 3 cards drawn. From the top of the deck here, Counter Catch of Fluttermane and a Pokegear. So probably fine to just hold this hand and make an attack. Taking up the Ancient here, Ancient counter. And it's going to be an easy knockout regardless. We were doing 110 last turn, so we're doing a lot more now. And we do see the damaged Iron Hands with free retreat move into the active. Now, the thing is, there's only 2 energy on our Iron Hands here on the bench, meaning it isn't going to be set up quite yet. It's why we have seen stuff like Reboot Pod being used. I do think the fact that we run generators means we can just set it up that way with an attach. We only need to hit 1, which is 1 off a generator, I think is reasonable. And we are going to see a research here. Drawing a ton of cards, hopefully finding that generator. Didn't see it in hand. Considering the majority of the deck has been drawn through, we haven't seen a single generator. That's kind of unlucky here. There is a counter catcher in hand. I like this play. Like we mentioned before, the EX being on the bench is a liability. And we could see an arm press here to weaken it and then amp you very much the following turn if it can't retreat. Just counting the damage here, making sure arm press doesn't take a knockout. So it is currently doing 220, so 10 damage off. So the Roaring Moon is going to survive. It does, however, mean amp you very much next turn would potentially take 3 prizes. So we do need to see someone off the Pokegear here, and it is a whiff. Absolutely nothing shown for the Ancient side there. A few Sard have been played, a few Explorers being played. There should still be a fair amount in deck, at least. I'm thinking 4, between 4 and 6, so kind of rough there, but we will see. Still plenty to do on the side of Ancient. Maybe if any energy in hand, we could see a supporter found that way, or we could see a switch card drawn. We are going to see Artisan here. Is there anything in deck? Maybe thin out the Fluttermane. Don't see any Roaring Moon. And it is just going to be a Fluttermane thinned out onto the bench. Hopefully hitting some better cards the following turn. I don't know if there's anything else to be played. If not, Future is definitely back into this one, going down to 3 prizes. With a full health Iron Hands in the active. Fairly safe from the baby Roaring Moons for now. This deck does aim to take 2 hits as it is a single prize, but it's fine to do. So the Pokegear, once again, here digging for a supporter. Surely not again. And it's failed him again. There was, we did play a few games today, and Great Tusk, obviously 4 Pokegear. I think he failed them 2 games in a row, and now we're seeing it here. So we're talking maybe like 10 whiffed Pokegears. In decks that have a good amount of supporters, in decks that are sort of built around finding those supporters out, just double checking the discard there. Maybe slightly in disbelief that nothing has been hit. And I think it is just going to be a pass here. We do see... Okay, so it is the return counter catcher. And here we go. Can we find a way out? Have we got a tool in hand? We do see the tool in hand and the attachment for turn, which is good. It does mean we've got yet another Iron Hands without the baton on, which is another downside. And we are going to see a tool removed from the ancient player here and a research. We could actually see Future get back into this one. It looked kind of rough at the start, obviously not setting up, taking a big hit. But now Amp You Very Much is going to take 3 massive prizes after we see the electric generator. And there is a double hit. We are seeing Iron Hands set up here. And that is looking pretty good. Things are definitely falling in favor of Future here. A few rough turns, a few turns where they sort of had to find different ways out, which is why we do the testing. You don't want to just throw in the towel on those matchups. You want to find a way around it. And it is going to be Amp You Very Much for 3 big prizes. Only 1 taken on the side of Ancient, so very much in the Future's favor here. Not much in hand, but we do see the escape board come down and an earthen vessel finding some energy here. Greninja able to draw 2 cards for an energy discarded, which is going to be the strategy here. Pretty good hand, to be fair, from where they were. The Artisan maybe thinning out another Pokemon. The Great Tusk coming down. Obviously able to mill if Future takes many more cards. There's not many cards left in deck, honestly. I don't think we're going to see that as a strategy, but it is definitely a nice way to finish out games should your opponent overextend. The fact it's been revealed, though, slightly less impactful now. You could even see it attack into an Iron Hands for weakness, but it's going to be rare we see that. Obviously, 4 energy isn't cheap. I don't even think there's no fighting in the deck anymore anyway. Previously we played it with Koraidon, with Slitherwing, where it was slightly more useful. But we are going to see the Sada for 1 and draw some more cards here. A ton of supporters in the discard pile. 3 new cards drawn though. And we do see a boss's order for next turn. Maybe finishing off that Iron Hands on the bench. What are we going to see the retreat into here? Probably, I don't know, you need that damage one to come up at some point. You probably want to keep it on the bench for as long as possible though. Obviously, Amp You Very Much is going to take 2 prizes from that one. Can't really do, yeah, I think it's got to be the undamaged one. Although, yeah, the crowns really do make it so there's no difference here. Whichever you put up is going to be knocked out from Amp You Very Much. And the poke into an Iron Hands is not going to be enough. It's not going to be enough to deal with this ramping decking. We do see a gift energy, 1 of 2 go onto the bench Pokemon there. And I think it is just going to be an Amp You Very Much. 2 prizes, 1 prize left, 5 left on the side of Ancient. I don't see any way out of this. We are going to see the promotion of a Fluttermane. See what we can do here. Potentially, we could see the Prime Catcher bring someone up, stall out for a few turns. Greninja going to draw 2 here. And we could see Aurora Moon hit the board. I honestly don't see any way out of this, so I think it would have to be... I mean, even Prime Catcher, you would take an extra 2 prizes maybe. But then eventually, that Iron Hands is going to hit the active. And there's really no way around it. The only thing you could do is potentially use the Aurora Moon EX. There is 2 in deck. But I think the other one might be prized. So that it's not really going to be an option here. Would be the only way to defend yourself and potentially win against this Iron Hands EX deck. Just skimming through the cards there, deciding what to take. As I say, I don't know there's any way out of this. The fact that there's only 1 prize left means even an arm press could win this one, which is slightly easier to set up on some of those Iron Hands on the bench. So even if they are pulled up, even if an Iron Crown's pulled up, I think there might be enough tools just to retreat. We are going to see a Nest Ball played. Yeah. Oh, hold on. The Royal Moon EX is in deck. So we could see something here. This could be interesting. I see a Dark Patch in hand and a Pokestop. Is there any more Dark Patch in deck is the only thing. This could be a very interesting end here. Don't know if there's a boss or a counter catcher. Counter catcher not live, so it would have to be a boss or Prime Catcher in the hand of Future here. We do see 1 Dark Patch for sure. Pokestop going to search for the other one. And there it is. Is that enough? Have we got the attach as well? I think it's 1 off. I don't actually see the other energy in hand. Just shy here. And I do think it's going to be the retreat into the Royal Moon. Swing for the knockout. Is that the one with the heavy baton? Yeah, so it's just going to put the energy where it wants. And we're going to move into the active and amp you very much for game. First game going over to the side of Future. Let's jump into game 2 and see if Ancient can bring it back. So Nest Ball coming down on the side of Ancient here. The Miraidon instantly into play. Slightly better than last turn. We are going to see the attachment to Iron Hands, the shuffle, and it is a pass instantly. Here we go into Ancient then. Plenty of Ancient cards in hand, Greninja in play, so we could see an explosive turn 2, or their first turn anyway. Sada being picked up off the Poké Gear, so we could actually see an attack as well. I do think the early turns, it's nice to play the Explorer, just get some cards in the discard, even if it's energy, if it's Ancient cards. There's plenty to throw away, but let's see what they decide here. I mean, if you can Sada an attack, poking the Iron Hands before it can really get set up is always good. The Explorer makes a lot of sense here. Wow, they are some good cards. I don't really know what... I think you need the Roaring Moon EX. I guess you can Super Rod it back later, and potentially there is another Roaring Moon that you're fine. You do want the energy for sure to throw away with Greninja and draw some more cards. Just looking at hand here, there won't be an attachment if they don't hit an energy off this. So they have found the Vessel. Very nice. We are going to see the Pokestop first. And two more Ancient Pokemon or Ancient cards going to the discard pile. We do see an Ultra Ball though. Maybe able to find out a Roaring Moon for next turn. So that Sada is going to 2 Pokemon rather than 1. And the discard is absolutely stacked. You can see on the top hand area of the field, they are keeping track of the Ancient cards. That's a little easier for us watching. You can always tell by the amount of damage it's doing anyway. And we are going to see an energy attachment for turn. The other card from the Vessel going into hand. And I think next turn we see the Ultra Ball, the Roaring Moon go down, and we see Sada. And then we are swinging with Ancient for some pretty big numbers already. I wouldn't be surprised if we can hit the one-hit knockout a lot sooner. And it is going to be the Flutter Mane into the active. Probably as a sacrificial lamb here, you really do want to keep the Greninja alive if you can. And once again, and ahhing about that tool. It has to go down though, which is unfortunate. We are going to see an Arven for Techno Radar Baton. We are going to see some more Iron Hands hit the field here. Just looking what to discard though, it looks like a pretty good hand. I think we might have to see the capsule go to the waist side, which is not good. You do want to save those in case you are boss trapped. It's your only way out. Iron Hands for retreat. It's not good. What else have we got in hand? So we do see another one in hand, so they're fairly safe this turn. It's just going to be the later turns. Not really any disruption in the side of Ancient though, so you're fairly comfortable to play into that. And it does look like you've got to imagine it's the retreat and attack with Miraidon here. It's doing 60 from the Iron Crown, 80 from the tool. Is there any way to get anything else in play? Potentially could have gone and should have gone for the second Iron Crown there, but you really do need an Iron Hands with the baton on. Hitting the Pokestop here and punished massively. Lost yet another tool, lost an Iron Hands. But we do see the counter catcher in hand now. Should Ancient take a knockout on the following turn. And it is going to be accelerating peak for 60 damage, which never feels good. 2 energy on to Iron Hands feels a lot better though. And things are looking pretty good on both sides. That is a second Roaring Moon EX gone to the discard pile, so we are going to need to see a Super Rod at some point. I think I do see one in hand, so it's not that big of a deal. Yeah, definitely one in hand. Potentially going to see Greninja here draw some cards as the Dark Energy comes to the front of the hand. Do see Earthen Vessel as well, so there's a few ways not only to discard Ancient cards, but to see more cards. I think we do need to see Ultra Ball and the Sada come down this turn. We do see a Dark Patch as well. You do really want to get full maximum benefit from the Sada. Not sure what the card was discarded there. I think it was maybe a Pokestop. Just thinking about going back in here. Maybe Artisan in hand as well, which would be another good way to get the Roaring Moon out. You don't really care if Future brings out a second Miraidon. Probably makes your prize map easier, honestly. Normally they're just like to force a 7 prize game. Not much in hand. Is that 2 counter catcher and a capsule in the side of Future? And it is just going to be Sada to... Okay, makes a lot of sense here. So we do need a way to pivot the Flutter Mane. So yeah, nice choice there. We are going to see the Nest Ball come down, Roaring Moon into play. You could potentially Dark Patch if you do want to set it up, but I don't think there's any rush here. You probably want to save those. Again, like I say, for the Roaring Moon EX to finish out the game later on. And the deck is looking awfully thin on the side of Ancient already. A ton of Ancient cards in the discard pile. So we're going to be swinging for some big numbers here. Oh, so there was a emergency board in hand. So I do still like that though, because the fact that you've used that, so you could easily have put the energy on the Roaring Moon. The fact that you've done it and put it onto the Flutter Mane makes your opponent think maybe there's not emergency board in hand, maybe no switch carts. So holding on to that I do quite like. Little mind game there, and we'll see if it comes back to help. We do see the Iron Crown go into the active, the tool attached for the free retreat, and we just see the Techno Radar discarding, I think, a counter catcher there. Just going to find some cards. Probably Iron Crown, maybe 2. Okay, so we do see another Iron Hands hit the bench. We do need plenty of attackers, and it is just going to be a 2-prize board now, meaning they are going to have to hunt down that 7th prize, which is always good. We are going to see a Pokestop again, learning nothing from last time. Absolutely nothing. 2 energy gone by the wayside there, straight to the discard pile, making those late game electric generators. We didn't see any we saw 1 in the first game, and we've seen none so far. Considering how many cards we've actually seen, I know there's 4 in deck. I built the deck. I know there's 4 in there, but yeah, still not seen any. And it is going to be a counter catcher onto the Greninja here, and the retreat into Iron Hands and a pass. So absolutely nothing going on the side of Future. It does make a little more sense seeing stuff like the Pokestop used every turn. Just trying to draw something. Yeah, I don't even know what they would need to get out of this. An electric generator would have been huge. Obviously able to set up a Iron Hand, so that's probably what they're looking for. But by doing that, they're just losing energy. They're losing cards. Turn after turn so far. Side of Ancient then, we do see a Nest Ball come down. And it is going to be failed. Deck shuffled up here. Potentially seeing a Pokestop afterwards maybe. Just to see some more cards. Pokestop a little more friendly to this deck. You don't mind losing cards to your discard pile. Obviously powering up your Ancient Pokemon. You see a lot of cards in hand. The second energy goes onto the Roaring Moon there. We are going to see the emergency board used. Retreat the Greninja. Like I said before, I did really like the play of not revealing it too early. It does mean the counter catcher wasted there. And a turn wasted, honestly. Pokestop again. And absolutely nothing. I think it's just going to be a pass back. Okay, so the emergency board is going to be lost vacuumed. I guess the hope here is just to trap the Greninja and buy yourself a few turns. That is 170 already being dealt by Roaring Moon with Vengeful Feathers. So Iron Hands is going to be 2-hit KO here. And considering there's nothing else going for the Future player, we are going to see... Oh, so they were just eyeing up the retreat there, maybe into another Iron Hands just to buy an extra turn. Obviously the Iron Hands on the bench, no way to retreat though, so it would just be stuck there. We are going to see 6 cards here. I think you have to keep the Dark Patch. Don't know what else is in there. Okay, so the Dark Patch is going, and we are going to see a few more Ancient cards hit the discard pile. I think we kept a Pokegear and something else there. Maybe it was 2 Dark Patches. It might have been a tough decision. And it is going to be the knockout. Iron Hands going down. The side of Ancient leading this one. Free Retreater into the active here. Eyeing up the Pokestop again. At this point, yeah, I think... I don't think there's any way out. And 2 supporters go to the discard pile. And I think it is just going to be the pass over. Awful game for the side of Future. The thing is, looking at those top cards, those would have been good, but we've hit the Pokestop 2-3 times, so you're talking like 9 turns to see a good card, 6 to 9 turns. It's not good either way. You don't know when to stop with Pokestop. It really is the devil on your shoulder, and it does look like it's straight over to Ancient again. Future doing nothing here. Just looking at the hand, eyeing up a Sada. We are going to see a second Roaring Moon hit the field. We're just going to see an attack. They don't really need to do much else. Just get some prizes. Now swinging for 190 damage. Slowly getting closer and closer to that one-hit KO. So I think that is Prime Catcher in hand. I think the aim here is to bring up the Greninja and just trap it. Obviously the emergency board removed for this very play. You can't solder to Greninja, so that's the only bonus. I guess hoping there's no energy in hand. And we do see a research. They are actually playing the game here. Here we go. 7 new cards, and we do see a generator. I'm not sure how many energy are actually left in deck now. We are just going to look through the deck here, get some Pokemon in play with a Nest Ball first, which I think makes a lot of sense. Just double check there are energy to hit. Obviously, there's a few in play. We've seen a ton go to the discard via that nasty Pokestop. And we do need to see at least 1. We do see 2, though. So Amp You Very Much is going to be online here. Yeah, so I think we probably see the retreat. Amp You Very Much, and Future could be very much back into this one. Iono in hand for the following turn. So we could actually see things... change here, which could be quite exciting. Amp You Very Much for 2 prizes, and it is over to Ancient now. Obviously not... Oh, the Prime Catcher off the top there. I think there might be a boss in hand as well. Iron Crown being weak to Dark does mean they could just bring them up and finish off this game quite comfortably. Even with Iron Hands, they can't quite knock out a Roaring Moon, especially with if they're taking the Iron Crowns out, so they're just hitting for the base 120. There's no way. I guess a Flutter Mane would keep them in this one. We are going to see a Super Rod for a EX, Greninja, and an Energy, which I quite like. 3 Dark Patch in hand, so that Iono is going to be huge next turn. And we are going to see the Roaring Moon hit the field for that very reason. You don't want to lose the option of bringing it into play. It's safe against Iron Hands, as it's not going to take a one-hit knockout. Even with Arm Press, it's doing 220. The thing's still looking good for the side of Ancient here. But Future is definitely not out of this one yet. My only worry is the amount of energy left. There's no Super Rod in this deck list. Although you're not normally using Pokestop. You probably shouldn't be using it, but I mean, like I mentioned, there was 6 dead cards on top of the deck, so the fact it just kept digging through. It lost a lot of good cards. I don't know. Let's see Pokestop for the other player. And the Greninja from the Super Rod has gone straight back into the discard pile with a Boss's Orders. This could spell trouble for Ancient. Maybe should have Pokestop before the Super Rod there. Slight missequencing, and we are going to see an Energy onto the Roaring Moon, and then 2 Dark Patches. Here we go. It's safe on the bench. Iron Hands can do nothing to stop that Roaring Moon. It is going to take a one-hit knockout. Just eyeing up what the play here is. It is going to be a switch cart. Holding on to that Prime Catcher for the following turn. Even if you gouge here, I mean, you don't have to because there's a stadium. And, oh no, because it does 220, so you do have to. Oh no. Oh no. The gouge is also going to get around the heavy baton because it says damage from an attack. So all of that energy is gone. I think that might be the nail in the coffin here. That might be the checkmate. Like we've already said, a ton of energy has gone to the discard pile via Pokestop, via Iron Hands being knocked out. Things very much in favor of Ancient here, and the gouge is going to mean not only, just double checking here, checking the word in, but that does mean all of the energy is going to go to the discard pile. And there's only, I can't tell if that's 1 or 2 prizes left for the side of Ancient, but I think that's all she wrote. There is a generator here. I'm not even sure there's any energy. Playing it face up, I don't think there's any way. Maybe another generator here, but I don't think there's any energy in the deck. There is a gift energy, so that could be the only way out here. But the attachment is going to mean that is no longer going to be possible. And we are going to see an Iono here. Is there a generator? A generator could do this. Oh, so we are Pokestopping for generator, and we do hit it. The gift has gone to the discard, meaning it won't be an option the following turn. And there is no more energy. Or it was the last card, because I'm sure there was one in hand. The energy whiff there, we've already attached, and it is the pass. Roaring Moon EX and in the Ancient box. Ancient taking the second match against Future, 1 apiece, Let me know which deck you preferred in the comments below. Let me know any matches you want to see, any deck profiles. If you made it to this point in the video, thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.